So whoever's watching is going to get half a meeting. Okay. So with the pyramid model, we've gone over this quite a bit, and I want to make sure that everyone is well versed in what strategies can go and work in the classroom for you. So I do have this video, but I want to make sure that you watch it on your own time. It's only, what is it, 4 minutes. So if you are not in this meeting right now, or maybe you need to rewatch later on, please make sure you do that. There's a link underneath the video that has the solution cards that one teacher references, and they're large cards so all the kids can see during whole group or small group time, and the kits that go with it. So you're trying to help these kids problem solve and learn to be individual thinkers and the emotional regulation that goes with it. So I'm going to show it to you really quickly. It's only 4 minutes long. If you have questions after the video, we will address them. Okay.
One of my favorite pyramid strategies is the solutions card. A solution card is something that you have your kit, and so if your kids are fighting over a toy, or if they want to turn to something, we would go over to the solution kit and pull out a card, and some of them are they don't take a turn, so we have to wait, or let's trade the card. Those are the main ones I use in my classroom. Or while they're doing that, what should we do so they can find a different toy, so that they're working through a solution and it's not just getting frustrated that they can't have that toy, which happens in the childhood a lot.
You did do a very high job. Our three overarching rules about our SHAN are that we take care of ourselves, we take care of each other, and we take care of our world. And so I used the pyramid model solution cards to outline those three expectations for us as a center. What's our first one? Thank you, Camille. We take care of ourselves. When we take care of ourselves, we say, beautiful, friends. Beautiful. What's our next one? Take care of each other. When we take care of each other, we What's our last one? Yes, we do, Jaya. We take care of our world. When we take care of our world, we wait and take turns and say please. Very good, my friends. Kiss your brains. You guys know it.
I think one of my favorite strategies or tools is just keeping positive and approaching everything in a positive way. Even in a negative situation, if you put a positive spin on it when you're presenting it to someone, whether it's a teacher or a child, it gets them to think differently about it and work together for a common solution.
The problem solving is what we use all day, every day. Just stop, take a deep breath. I see that you're upset. Let's see what we can do. Okay, you can do this one right here. I like how you used your words. One of my favorite pyramid strategies is just being able to teach children to communicate their emotions. So we don't do timeouts and we don't scold children for making poor choices. We do understand that they're children and that's a way that they're trying to communicate. So one of the best areas of the pyramid model is we allow the children to express themselves, and then we sit down and we discuss with them how they're feeling, and we show them some emotions and have them identify with that emotion and just let the child know it's okay to feel this way, but that we have to communicate our feelings through our words and not through our actions.
One of our most used strategies is known as Tough of the Turtle, teaching kids to slow themselves down and think like a turtle. So when you have a situation where they're feeling themselves getting a little agitated, helping them go into their shell, take 3 deep breaths, think of a solution, and come out of their shell. Even if the solution is not a great solution, it slows them down enough that they're not going from I'm fine and now I'm hitting the child next to me here.
Do you want to go back and see if you can get your 3? Or do you want to do something else?
All right. So most of you know Tucker Turtle, and you've used those stories in your classroom. I can send you the links to it. We have it from Chantel. And then the pyramid model website is great. You just put the little search topic, like I told you there on the bottom of this page, where it says search for solution cards. And it'll pop up with those cards the one teacher used. She brings it out for a whole group, maybe once or twice a week, so they can review those items, maybe every day of the week if they're first learning about those strategies, and then the kits that go with it. And there's a bunch of other social stories on that website. It's very helpful. I really encourage you to take a look at it. Maybe during rest time when you're planning for your next week's lessons and you want to do some social emotional learning. You've done second step, you love second step, but throw in some other things like pyramid model in there. Another tool for your tool belt. All right. So the neutralizing behaviors, we talked about this a while back and last time, but I want to make sure that you're still aware of it, that sometimes as teachers, we make snap decisions. So if we are growing frustrated in the moment, we don't even realize it, but we're quick to react, and we have yet to really understand where the child's coming from and what their true needs are. Hi, bud. So making sure that we're able to be in the moment and understand the situation before we proceed. It really changes that mindset, and you're able to go through and teach the child versus discipline the child in a way where they're not learning from their experience. We also need them to be in a regulated state. So that alone might take a long period of time for you to get that kid from screaming, kicking, and crying to, okay, now what can we do next time? And we're going to teach them that process so that hopefully after a lot of repetition, they're able to think in their own brain, oh, I'm not supposed to hit that child when they take something from me, or I'm not supposed to scream and throw my body down when someone takes my items from me. This is how I can do it next time. And it is a very long learning process, but from ages 0 to 5, we're teaching them that. So by the time they get to kindergarten, they are ready. They're impressing their teachers. We get compliments all the time from Coastal and Dixon about the children who leave our school to go into kindergarten, that they're able to self-regulate, where they have that understanding of how to be a problem solver and a good community member. They're a good little citizen in the classroom. And that goes a long way. Teaching them ABCs and patterns, that's great. And of course, please do that. But if they're not able to regulate themselves emotionally first and foremost when they get there, they're not going to be able to process or take anything in because they're in that high state of emotion, always on the defense. So that's a big, big focus for us. Okay, I did go through this as well. I want to make sure that you know, even with the toddlers, as simple as you can do it is if they are frustrated, they don't want to come for a diaper, they're running away from you, whatever the case may be, they think it's a game, just that first and then statement. That goes a long way. First, we do diaper, then we can play with blocks. And you just keep repeating. First, we do diaper, then we play with blocks, making nice and clean with diaper, then we play with blocks. A little variety of that phrasing, but making sure they understand we're going to do this first, then you get to go back and play. Where first we wash hands, then we eat lunch. That alone, we're setting the expectation of what's going to happen in the schedule, and it's simplistic, but it goes a long way with those itty bitties as well. Okay, so we went over this last time. I'm going to keep it there for your reference. These are some videos and some free links for you to use, making sure that you kind of look at Tucker Turtle. That's great. We'll print them, laminate. I think we have a bunch of those social stories that Chantel even made for us. So you can bring them into your classroom and you can read Tucker Turtle and teach those lessons there with your students. They're very mini. If you go to that same website and you look at Book Nook, and you find those mini stories, they come with lessons with them and activities. So it's a whole lesson plan right there for you for ages 2 and up. When we're holding children accountable, we want to make sure that we are explicit with the expectation. So if you look on the right, that's a snippet of the ABC chart for children who have repetitive negative behaviors. So ABC is antecedent, behavior, and the consequence. Antecedent, what came before they did their hitting. Was it because someone took a toy? Was it because you said no to something that they couldn't do? That's the antecedent. The behavior, just what they did, just the facts, ma'am. What did you observe with your eyeballs? And then the consequence, what did you do after? Did you have to wait 10 minutes for them to calm their bodies down? And then how did you proceed? Did they have to go to cozy and then they were, shut down for a long time? But what did you do after they were shut down? So that's what you want to put there on the ABC chart. As we keep records, we may understand that this child, there's a trigger at the same time every day. Or sometimes these children need some extra resources, and that's when we go to one place, we go to all these other resources. We have therapies, and they can come in and work with the families and the child so we can set them up for success when they go to kindergarten. Okay, supervision and tone of voice. I already talked about that. I want to make sure that it's here, but you can keep looking back at it. Okay, so we're going to go into the EPR plans, emergency preparedness and response, and then after that is the medical emergency forms, just kind of showing you what's on it. Miss Ruby was going to touch on these items. Since Ruby's still ready, or I can do it. All right, I'm gonna do it. And she can cut in whenever she's ready. So this is the EPR plan. There is one copy in everyone's emergency bag. It is updated from time to time to change some of the names. Like as you see, this old copy has Miss Michelle still on it. So I gotta update that one. But this is from last year's training. And what it is, the facts are still the same of what to do. So the emergency supply locations, we have ready to go bags. Every classroom has their emergency bag. It should have your emergency cards. It should have first aid kits, wipes, tissues, and any emergency medication for the students in your class. So if you have a kid with an inhaler or an EpiPen, that item with their action plan should be in that bag. And you should have a red bag that encases all of those items. So if you don't have that, please let us know. We'll make sure we get it for you. That way you're ready to go if we ever have to evacuate or there's a fire drill and we got to leave the building. The ready to go kits, those are different. Those are big white laundry baskets that we can roll. They're rolly ones, and they're filled with specific items for infants and specific items for children who are older. So the infant one has formula, it's got diapers in it, it's got emergency items in it, water. Same with the other one, but for items for older children. And those get wheeled out by admin if we ever need to evacuate the building. Fire extinguishers. Hopefully you know where at least one fire extinguisher is near your classroom. If you don't, just go take a little explore around. They are labeled here where their locations are. And if you haven't done fire safety to know how to use a fire extinguisher appropriately, please make sure you kind of read the instructions. So if ever something happens, you're not reading instructions while there's a fire in front of you, you are ready to go and fight that fire. Also, the fire alarm is a pull fire alarm in the main building, but it does not call the fire department. It is not connected to the phone line. So if they pull the fire alarm, someone still has to call emergency services. Please keep that in mind. Emergency supply locations, lockdown drill. So a lockdown is when there's potential danger around. We need to just make sure everyone stays in the building. Shelter in place is when we want to make sure that there's something that could be happening outside, like a weather storm, and we want to shelter inside the building itself to protect ourselves. So that means we might need to seal up the windows and things with other items that we have in preparation. EPR code words. When we have a red folder, that means there is a bad guy in the building. Okay, red folders, there's a bad guy in the building, there's a threat within the building. So that means you guys have to protect your itty bitties and yourselves within your classroom. You are going to use those little stoppers, those black stoppers, and jam your door as best you can on the bottom. I've looked into locks, but Kim Sherry said we cannot have locks for the classroom, which I find insane after all these things that have happened in the past few years, but the black stoppers are what we got. You're going to hide your children in a dark room, as quiet as they can be, in the bathrooms or away from the door itself, so that if, God forbid, anything should come through the door, it is not the first thing they encounter as a child or a teacher. You want to remain kind of as quiet as possible, which obviously for our itty bitties is quite tricky. So if you have a little plan or something you'd like to do at that time to make them whisper, to make it into a game, because high stress situations, obviously, they don't understand. Okay, evacuations. If we have an on-site evacuation, like a fire, we want to make sure we go into the parking lot after you've gone through your playgrounds on that furthest fence. So you're going to go to the furthest fence away from the building. Make sure you count all your children. An administrator will say room so-and-so, how many, and you'll say how many kids, how many adults, and we'll make sure that everyone who's accounted for that day from ProCare is out the building. We'll do a sweep. Admin will go room to room if physically possible and make sure that people are not stuck in certain spaces. And then we will proceed to the exterior fenced areas, to the parking lots. So if you're on the Forest playground or the school age playground and it's a hazard to get to the front parking lot, please go to the back parking lot. You just want to make sure you're furthest away from the hazards. If we're doing a neighborhood evacuation, so we're going to make sure that we escort the kids outside of our building, outside of that space. And if you're in the main building, we're going to do a neighborhood evacuation to the second building. If you're in the second building, we do emergency evacuation in the neighborhood to the main building. And then if you're at Holly Ridge, we do emergency evacuation down the street, and Miss Barbie and I will go through that with you tomorrow. But you just go to a different building within the same neighborhood because they have resources we can use, and then we can make sure everyone's accounted for and parents can pick up from there versus the hazard building. If you're going out of the neighborhood evacuation, our site for Sneads Ferry and Sneads Ferry 2 is Noah's Ark Daycare. And then we're going to go there. We make sure that we have all of our supplies, and we go there because they have accommodations that will help with childcare and children in general. Out of town evacuations. Out of town means out of Sneads Ferry if you're in Sneads Ferry or Sneads Ferry 2. So we're going to go to Harris Teeter. I chose Harris Teeter because it's near 17. They got food and will be set where the parents can come grab their kids. And it's an easy evacuation route where you're right off the main road. And that way we can make sure everyone gets where they need to go safely. There's a loss of water. If we don't have it within 2 hours restored, we have to close the facility. But fortunately, every time they decide to work on the water down the road, we get it back within 2 hours. So if it ever happens, it goes further than that, we do have to close because of hygiene issues. If we, God forbid, have a missing child from the center and we can't account for this child, that's why counts are so important. You have your teacher caboose, your teacher line leader, and they're both counting at all times. If you're coming in from a playground, I'm going to say this, I hope everyone's listening to me. If you're coming in from the playground or you're going out to the playground, teacher in the front, teacher in the back. Teacher in the front says the number. All right, we have 10 friends going outside today. Teacher in the back is double checking those 10 friends, making sure they are online, because you could have a hider and you don't see them until it's too late. Once those teachers reach the threshold to come back from the outside, that's it. That is a child who is out of ratio, and that is a big deal. So please make sure you are counting. If you know little Mikey likes to hide behind the slide or inside that tunnel slide or wherever, don't approach the door until you have counted all of your itty bitties in front of the classroom door. Then hold hands with those little ones who like to escape and go inside. Please make sure that's diligently done, because unfortunately they will find a way to weasel out because they think it's a game or they think it's something. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. But they don't understand the repercussions for not following the group into the building. So just making sure that you guys are keeping that in mind. And if there's ever a missing kid, the procedure is verify all classrooms, make sure that you respond to us when we're calling out for each classroom's count. And then obviously we'll call law enforcement and make sure that they are aware and can come assist us in finding and locating the child.
Shannon, can I
add?
I'm sorry. Shannon stressed over and over again, count the kids, which is absolutely true. But that's like if you're going from a classroom out to the playground and the playground back into the classroom or something like that. If you've been outside for a little while or you've been inside for a little while, don't just count the heads. You have to make sure that the children align with the list as well. Sometimes a child may get picked up and somebody else may come in, so your numbers may go off. So just counting shouldn't be, isn't really enough. It's only if you're going like from the classroom out to the playground where you know there was no change in your number. Otherwise,
for
you should
the end of
always
the
attempt
day.
the name with the child because you could lose track of that number very easily, and that's how a child gets left outside.
Right. And if it's the end of the day, like Joyce is saying, and you're getting children from different classrooms to fill the playground again, double checking your whiteboard lists, making sure you have erased the kid who just left and you're putting on the new children who take the spot. If you need to stop the kids or stop and count everyone, have them sit in a circle and play duck duck goose, and one of you is actually double checking the names on the whiteboard, or just have them sit and tell them we got to count everybody, and then you can call them off if they're old enough to figure out what to do. So and so, and they call them and they say we're here, and then you can figure out who's missing. But hopefully you're not in that situation. So lockdown, there's danger outside of the building, maybe in the neighborhood. So we want to make sure everyone stays indoors. The key card system is turned off, so no one can come into the building, and we don't want anyone to exit the building. So everyone stays inside, no outdoor play at that time. Red folder, like I said, the intruder has entered the building. So maybe it's a disgruntled parent. They're going through a custody dispute, something to that effect. We have had, unfortunately, some incidents that have been worrisome. And we want to make sure that you guys are aware that those kids in your classroom, they are hidden, they are quiet, lights are off until we say the coast is clear. And hopefully it happens quickly and we can just kind of, guide that person out the building. Oh, we'll find them for you, or something like that effect. Please never let someone into the building you do not recognize. I know it's human nature to be kind and hold the door open for somebody, but in our building, it could be something that's detrimental to a child's well-being. So we want to make sure that you understand. You can say, I'm so sorry. They have to check your ID. Make that door shut. Then you tell admin, hey, someone I don't know is out front. Can I let them in? A lot of you asked that, so I'm so grateful. And we can just look them up right in the system. Unfortunately, to look them up in the system, we usually have to let them in the building so we can talk to them. So there's that little issue there where we don't have, some centers have like this middle section where you walk in, you wait, and then you go to the rest of the building. They have to come in the building, check in with us, and then proceed. But at least we've stopped them at the door and we check their ID and we go through there and show them where the child is if they are a designated pickup. Oh, playground doors. You have to make sure they stay locked. Just use your magnet to prop it open. So as soon as your class comes in, you pull the magnet out of the door frame and you can actually lock the door again. We don't want these doors to remain unlocked, especially because the exterior gates, they are not allowed to have locks anymore. So if someone comes over from Cancun and goes through those two gate doors, they could go right into one of the classrooms. We want to make sure that your classroom space, when you guys are inside, that door for the playground is locked, it's shut. If you're outside, prop it with a magnet, but always remove it, please. I know in the mornings, room 6 tends to be propped. I understand people are coming in that time, but if you lock it and you want it locked at 9 o'clock, that's the time. Everyone just has to go to the front of the building then. And we will not mind doing that because you're thinking of the safety of the children there. So, you know what, I'm going to say it. From 9 o'clock a.m., room 6, close the door. Take the magnet out and close the door because by 9 o'clock, everyone who should have been clocked in is there and NC Pre-K has left. Okay.
Come on, up. This is not for you.
All right. Hold on. All right. Moving on to the next part. So we have weather-related emergencies. There could be a hurricane, tornado, severe weather in general. We want to protect everybody. So we're going to have you shelter in place where everyone sits in the hallway, they sit crisscross and they guard their brains. So that's if a tornado is imminent in the area, we get that crazy siren. We just want to protect everyone from the windows because we have big windows in the classroom. Make sure if you can in that hustle, bring your attendance, your walkie, like your whiteboard, your walkie-talkie in an emergency bag. And that way we're ready. We're in the hallway all together and everyone should be away from windows best they can. Oh, if we lose electricity, this is the tricky one because we can technically be in operation without electricity. So if it's between 65 and 85 degrees in the building, we're good. If there's natural light, we're good. And as long as the sanitation is not compromised, so we can still flush toilets and wash hands. If any of that gets compromised, then we'll have to shut down. Okay, so if you see fire or smoke, pull the alarm. Either you call 911 or tell admin, call 911 or someone. And then we're going to go through the whole process of making sure that everyone exits for the fire drill, but it's a real fire that time. Then we're going to exit the playgrounds through those exterior gates, and we're going to go to a parking lot, and we will make sure we double count, and then we'll proceed from there. So this is the medical care plan for both buildings, so Sneads Ferry and Sneads Ferry 2. Holly Ridge has theirs posted as well. So because we're a smaller site at Holly Ridge, we can go over that tomorrow. And making sure that you understand the phone numbers at the top are those emergency numbers to call. And if we need someone to administer medication, thankfully Ruby was able to find a course. So many people are able to administer medication now. Those are just some of the names at the bottom of the list. Free resources are there. There's my login and the password. You can create your own account, but if you just want to use mine and not get spam email yourself, there it is. And it has tons of resources for circle time, small group, tons of visual resources for you to use. I strongly recommend you take a little browse, and it'll be some great stuff for your classroom. Cox Campus, several of you have taken courses from Cox Campus. They are totally free, but they give you credits for your contact hours. Miss Chantel recommended them to us. There's age specific trainings for infants, toddlers, twos, preschoolers, and school agers. And it really goes through and it gives you videos of classrooms in real time, which are critiqued or which are used as teaching tools in the videos. So that's great. Like you're watching someone else in action, you know what really happened, and then you're learning from their experiences, which I think is very valuable. These trainings must get done. I know Miss Ruby tries to track you all down. Oops, but the links are there. So if you get this PowerPoint from me tonight and you're like, oh man, I didn't do fire safety, the link is right there. Just go into the PowerPoint, click the link, take your fire safety, and we will reimburse you with the receipt and the certificate or any of those courses. If you want to take NC FEL because you want to learn how to write lesson plans, and you click it, you take it, and we reimburse you. Teach Scholarship is through Miss Ruby. Make sure you seek her out if you'd like to enroll and make sure you get those pay raises and bonuses. If you have questions or comments, remember, we have an open door policy. Come see us, ask questions. Anytime you can message me and make sure that you are heard so that I can sit down with you. Oh, I just remembered I didn't grab somebody today, but I will grab them tomorrow morning. And then we want to make sure we know that there's a problem so we can help you solve it. Like Miss Joyce always says, if we don't know there's an issue, then we can't help you. And you're just going to let it fester and grow until it explodes. And you never really knew what the first initial issue was anymore because it just got too big and you couldn't take it anymore. So we want to avoid that. We want to make sure that you're comfortable and you enjoy your workspace because these kids depend on you and they depend on you to come in with positive energy and a positive attitude. If anything's bugging you, any concerns, come see us, come talk to us, or message us, and we'll be doing our very best to find a solution with you. And I think that's one of the perks of working with a private institution is that you are heard. Even though we may not be able to solve it the way you want us to solve it, we're going to do our very best to make sure we hear you and we work to find a solution where all parties are happy at some point. You know, I mean, I can't make everybody happy, but we're going to do our best. Okay, anyone have any questions? If you do, message me. I'll have my phone on me, and I'm going to send these out along with half of a video to everyone else, and then I'll just have to record a video of the first half. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and we will see you mañana. Thank you, everybody.